Welcome to the Comics Corner podcast with B-Lar and Danny P.
Hey, everybody.
We are brought to you by the CLZ app and part of the SPDM podcast crew. Please check out SPDM crew for a variety of podcasts to listen to. What kind of collector are you? Danny and I discuss the variety of collectors that come through the store. We chat about what we are reading, what we're looking forward to, and new ones for the week of January 29th. Danny, how you doing, buddy?
Awesome, man. It's been a great start to the week so far. Even though it's been cold, it's been pretty sunny, so making it a little bit easier to get through the Michigan winter.
It sure is. It's nice that it is getting sunny and it tricks your mind thinking it's warmer, and then you step outside and get kicked in the nuts. But
Yes,
hey,
yes.
we,
The days getting a little longer and everything, so onward and upward.
you bet. Yeah, I did. I got outside over the weekend and went outside for a couple mile walk. So bundled up nicely, but still got out there. Anyway, so I was thinking about some things, and little things that we don't really talk about. We do talk about the books, we talk about artists, talk about storylines. Let's talk about the thing that keeps the stores going, that keeps the comics being printed. It's the readers and the collectors. And I consider myself a collector, and not that I collect everything that comes out, but I have a broad horizon now, especially since we've been doing this. I've been trying to read more books and getting into a lot more independence and reading Marvel again, and just kind of want to see Danny. I know you're not a collector. You don't consider yourself a collector, but you see the collectors that come in. So just want to use your expertise as a store owner and just talk about a few things. So what would you consider the variety from?
It's so vast. When you said this earlier, it's a great question because you have guys that, they've been shopping since the store opened back in '82 with my pops and continuing with me. And I think they do it just because they've been collecting that long. You got guys that are just as passionate about it that have been doing the exact same thing, but they can come in every week, tell me the stories that are going on. And then you get into brand new readers every day that get into it from, a video game that rivals is going to have a comic book coming up and that grabs people's eyes. And you get some people like they have to come in. I mean, that's this thing going on with Diamond and what's going on with the industry shifts here that people can't come in on Wednesday and just get all their books. We got the week guys that come in every single week. I get some guys I just see once a week, once a month. And there's some guys I only see maybe three times a year. But it's all different types of people and then you get into why they collect. Some guys do it just for the art. Some guys do it just for certain artists. Some people only get, like the Silverhawks. There's an artist called Mark Spears. A lot of people will be coming in looking for that, and then some people will be getting it just because they got Silverhawks when they were kids, and that's one of their favorites. And then you get, with Dynamite. I mean, the completist is so much harder because Silverhawks is probably have as
Oh,
well over 40 covers if you want to get into every one. So you get into that, and then you get people that come in and out all the time. There's some great stories about to start here with the sequel to Hush and what's going on with all Ultimates and just a lot of great reads right now with we're going to get Predator, Spider-Man, which you get new readers from that. So, I mean, it's just so many different type of readers and we get a lot of guys that sadly I wish I had more older stuff, but they haven't read a book since 1998 and they look for only stuff that's in the past. So the beauty of comic books is there's something for everybody if you want to collect a certain way or get into a certain title, it's there for you for sure. So it's very cool to see still all these years later the comic industry just grow. I think.
definitely. And I know that there's like my friend Brian Nolan, who actually brought me to your store. J. Scott Campbell. He's got to get a J. Scott Campbell cover of whatever he puts out. And Jim Lee, he's a big Jim Lee fan. And I was telling him, I'm like, hey, just so you know, Hush is going to kick your wallet in the butt. There's going to be some covers on that, and I I used to be I got to have every cover. I've got to have complete it. I was that bad at one point, but I've curtailed it to if I've got the complete runs, I'm okay. If I have, one issue it's variant, the other is the normal. I'm okay with that because I've got the story complete. But I do have that I need to complete when I start, and that's one thing that's gotten me in some trouble back in the past. But I've been doing pretty good on it with my runs now, and you and I we work together sometimes to complete some of the runs. It's a lot of fun, man. When you find that last issue of something and it completes your run, it's such a rush. It's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I would say I collect more for the story artwork combined equally, and then also the completest part. So just it's enjoyable to see where we fall into as collectors, and through the eyes of a store owner. So I appreciate you answering that question, Dan.
Yeah, and I would love to be a collector, but it started early with dad never let me bring stuff home, no toys, no anything. Everything was to be sold. So that got instilled in me. So I mean, I love comic books and read them and all that. But yeah, as far as collection, it was always everything's got to go out the door. So
Yeah,
so
I
it
hear that.
made me
That's
see it through a little different eyes than most.
they it's the collector in me would be like, oh wow, owning a comic would be the dream job, but then I would end up buying the books and not want to sell them,
Yeah,
especially
right, right.
the the ones that I've been looking for. It'd be tough to do, but you got to sell them to keep the doors open. So what have you been reading lately that you've been enjoying, Dan?
This week, I've really just the DC, just the cohesiveness of still going back to what Waller did to the universe and different things with that. Because I read a couple of the miniseries this weekend, and the Black Lightning totally has all the him trying to grab all the people that are finding new powers. Then Metamorpho again, kind of showing what's going on with his life since all this, and that Metamorpho was really awesome. It felt Ewing did it, and Lieber did the art, and it had a very 60s vibe to it. And one of my favorite comic books, probably 30 years ago, Mike Allred's Mad Man, and that is exactly what this felt like. So I really enjoyed that. That looked like a good mini series to start with. It was one we were talking about last week, and it was as good as I thought it'd be. That pinup apocalypse. They introduced us to Foxy and Roxy, and it's the 50s, and she's getting ready for her 18th birthday, and something crazy explosion happens, and all of a sudden she's dealing with zombies. So that was a great start to that, and it just really seemed like that could go somewhere. That one was from Massive. Amazing Spider-Man 66 was grabbing that. I'm getting so excited for us relaunching to number one and seeing how they wrap this up, because they keep on talking about that somehow somebody's going to die at the end, but it's kind of starting to get too long. So I'm hoping. I know we only had a couple issues to go with this, and I've enjoyed parts of it, but they could have probably made it a little bit shorter with all the different monsters that he's been fighting with all the issues. But I've enjoyed that for the most part. But yeah, I'm gonna glad to see how they wrap it up, and if what they do with Peter, and the Raz is going to do awesome on when we get to the new series. So I can't wait for that one. And those were the main
So
ones that I was able to grab this week.
do you need an easy way to catalog your comics? Try the CLZ app. You can scan a barcode with the built-in camera scanner with a 99% success rate. You can find the series by title, or you could search a specific issue by title and issue number. Or the latest feature, you can scan the cover with your camera. That's right, folks, you heard me correctly. All you need to do is aim the camera from your cell phone at the comic book, and it will scan the cover and input the information right into your database. The CLZ Core Online Comic Database automatically provides cover art and full comic details like series, issue number, publisher, plot, creator list, character list. The details go on and on. It will automatically provide key comic information like first appearances, deaths, cameo appearances, iconic covers, and origins. You can edit these details from the CLZ Core, like the series issue number and variant description, and add personal details like storage box location, comic book grade, purchase date, and prices. You're able to try the CLZ app for free for 7 days. After that, it's just $1.99 a month or $19.99 a year. That's right, folks. Free for 7 days as you catalog your books using one of the 4 ways to input your information. You can download the CLZ app anywhere you get your applications. The CLZ app is a proud sponsor of the Comics Corner podcast with Danny P. And now back to the podcast. Would you say, for someone like me who hasn't been reading very much Spider-Man, a good jumping on point with a
I
relaunching number
think it
one?
is. I think it's one of those that if you just wait till it ends and you get to sit and read it like in one session or over a course of 2 days, you're going to enjoy it a lot more than kind of the slow burn it's had over these, because it's 8
Okay,
issues. So no, I've enjoyed it. Some parts have been very cool, and I mean, you throw Doctor Doom in the mix, you got to see how it ends. So
gotcha.
it's been cool to see the different monsters and his different powers he's getting. But yeah, it's gonna be it'll be good to see it wrap up.
And then they're gonna go do a Joe Kelly is taking over, I think,
Yeah, and he's
for
actually was a
you.
part of writing this story at the beginning too, and yeah, he's been a part of this, so
All
he's
right,
gonna be a part of
nice,
where it goes next.
cool.
But that's been the main stuff for me that I checked out this week. What'd you get to check out?
Yeah, I've been bouncing around a little bit. Some of the books I think didn't come out this week, but I picked some up this week a little bit behind. Superman 22, I know that was a this week book. It's the survivors of Doomsday from other worlds. They've banded together and are demanding that Superman turns over Doomsday, he's used that. They've got him locked up in that super works tower that Lex Luthor created and turned over to Superman when he went to prison. And then Superman, he obviously doesn't want to turn him over because he feels they're going to try and kill Doomsday. And whenever you kill him, he just comes back stronger. So they're going actually back to the Doomsday Superman miniseries that came out, I think, in the late 90s. Prey, Hunter Prey.
Really? Like that
And
four-parter? Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Right,
they're
yeah.
yep,
Okay.
the people that was on one of the planets that Doomsday killed, they combined and they become this new person. Radiant is what the
Nice. That's a deep
guy's
cut.
name is. Yeah, and he shows up and kind of shoots where they have Doomsday, and now they've got this nice splash panel by Mora of Doomsday and Superman fighting them, and it's just, so now it's your first team up of Doomsday Superman. So it's pretty cool. Doctor Doom and Rocket Raccoon. I had to check it out. We talked about it. You know, it was. I mean, if the rest of these books or anything is near as this one, then I'm in for all six. Not only it's a time, space, entropy, thought-provoking storyline, but it's funny. I mean, Rocket Raccoon and Doctor Doom sitting having dinner, trying. I mean, it was like an Abbott and Costello routine for a little bit, but I really
Yes, it was.
felt
Yes, it was.
I felt it captured what Rocket Raccoon and Doctor Doom would be doing. It's just the characteristics of them. So great job.
And also, I
Action
mean, look at
Com.
this lineup too. Captain America and Volstagg, Nick Fury versus Fing Fang Foom, Hulk and Doctor Strange. That one makes sense. Ghost
Yeah.
Rider versus Galactus, and Spider-Man versus the Marvel Universe. So Straczynski's definitely going to have interesting run here. I think this was a great one to start off with. So yeah, very cool.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Action Comics 1082, major disaster, slides back, turns back to crime, and Scott Clark questioned his own beliefs. Clark Kent, as a reporter, goes out there and he starts questioning people who've been working with major disaster to clean up, and they basically hear from them saying that this guy put everything he could into it, but the weight was just too heavy. But he helped turn other people's lives around. So just a good start. It's a John Ridley's run on action. You know, Mark Waid just finished that storyline, and now we got John Ridley. And then Nightwing 122, Dan Waiters and Dexter Stoy. They're doing outstanding work. When you follow the creators who put together possibly the greatest Nightwing stretch in history, you got to come out swinging. And these guys have done it. Dick's dealing with an enemy from his past, a circus girl named Columbina, that when he was Robin, him and Batman took down the Cirque du Sin, and now she is the boss of this company called Spheric Solutions, and they're working with Bloodhaven Police and Maggie Sawyer, who I think that's cool that they got her over from Metropolis, but they're outfitting the police with all this weaponry, and she's still blowing things up and setting fires, and they think it's the gangs and it's not. Nightwing's trying to protect the gangs and figures out that this girl is from his past, so we'll see where that goes. But you know, Dexter Soy's artwork was great in the Batman Outsiders, and it continues to be good. So loving every part of it so far. I hope it continues. So buddy, what are you looking forward to for this week?
We got a couple coming at us. Ripper Land #1 from Dark Horse. The new story of Jack the Ripper looked pretty interesting. Usually Dark Horse does books like that. They work pretty well. DC Power, Rise of the Power Company, just more characters, how they were affected by Waller's try to take over the universe there. So that one looked pretty interesting. You kind of got me excited about a couple of them with that Silverhawks Power Lords. I know those are on your list, but I'm gonna check that stuff out. I don't. The only thing I remember of those as a kid was bagging a bunch of comic books that had those as ads on the back, but I never checked out either of those. And the last one, which I totally remember being a kid, was Badger. That kind of started by Capital Comics, right around when Dad started the shop, and that was a little bit, it was supposed to be, it was like a bad comic book. You shouldn't check out for how old I was then. It was a little bit more adult because the guy Mike Barron who wrote Punisher also wrote that, and it was kind of Punisher meets Moon Knight. It was kind of a guy who was a superhero but had Emily was a 9-year-old personality they had, and a bunch of other personalities he had. So that was
Right.
always cool. So I believe the same writers come back to do it again. So I'm excited to see what he's doing with it 30 years later.
Definitely. I'm all in on forgive the DC part, but yeah, Badger was Mike Barham. He did Nexus. He just rebooted that, or not rebooted, but released a couple Nexus issues. So, and Badger was one of my favorite characters reading when he was young. Well, when he was younger and I was younger. So looking
Yes, yes,
forward to
yes.
seeing that. Yeah. And, the Dan, I may have Silverhawks on DVD. If you want to check out some of the cartoons, I'll be happy to drop them off at the store for you. But yeah, Power Lords number one, like I said, they keep releasing these the action figures from when the 80s and 90s, and they're turning them in these good stories. Hopefully they continue. Sectars has been good, and Power Lords is another one that was a figure toy line. And we've got the smuggler Adam Power. He gets the power jewel and becomes one of the Power Lords. So we'll see where they go with that. Silverhawks. I mean, I just can't wait. Ed Brisson, he just did that Thundercats Apex story line. That was really good. And he's written Uncanny X-Men. The artist has done Gargoyles. So yeah, Silverhawks look like it's going to be outstanding. They had their Mumra character was Monstar, who changes. So it's very, very much looking forward to Silverhawks. Steelheart has been one of my favorites. So we'll see how they do. And then Hornsby and Halo. Hornsby and Halo number 3. I've been really enjoying this story. It's Peter Tomasi. It's the story of nature versus nurture, basically. A devil and an angel get put with good families, and devil gets put with a good family, angel a bad family. And the bad families, the mortician and funeral home in the area, and they basically, when somebody dies, they take all their jewelry and their wallet or whatever money or anything they get buried with that's worthwhile. They all steal it, and somehow the dead get risen, and they're all coming after this family because they want their stuff back. So we'll see where they go with that. Looks
That's pretty
like
good. I like that.
could be pretty interesting. And the artwork's been good with it too. So yeah, it's I really recommend it. Another Ghost Machine, but this one Jeff Johns actually hasn't got his fingers on too much on this one. So the new number ones for the week, got a few, some we talked about already, but American Mythology's got Little Stooges number 1 and Silent Night, Deadly Night versus Valentine Bluffs Massacre. So 2 horror movies are going to be fighting. It's not Freddy versus Jason, but we'll see how it goes. Boom Studios has got Book of Cutter. Coffin Comics has La Muerta, Lady Death Inferno number 1. Dark Horse Comics Ripperland. DC Comics Power Rise of the Power Company, DC's Lex in the City, which is an anthology, multiple stories. Then Superman Lex Luthor Special number 1. Dynamite has Silverhawks. Image Seasons number 1. Mad Cave Studios Kill Train number 1. Marvel Comics has Star Wars A New Legacy number 1, Storm Life Dream number 1, and I think this wraps up the What If Galactus Transformed Spider-Gwen. Ani Press Power Lords number 1, and Zenoscope White Tiger Claws Paws Outlaws, go ahead and say that 5 times quick, number 1. So those are the new ones coming out this week. And Danny, talk to me about that subscription club.
Well, in these strange times when we pretty much have new comic book day Wednesday through Friday now, we got our 25% off club. You get 25% off what you're on and 10% off all the racks, and that way you don't miss a thing. So if you can't come in, we can throw it in your box. And seems at least for probably the next couple of weeks here, it's still going to be a bit of a mess as we transition over to Penguin Random, and even after that, Dynamite and some of the other titles are still going to be exclusive to Diamond for the time. So probably have kind of comic day part 1 and 2 for from now till hopefully sooner than later, but at least for the next couple weeks still.
Yeah, I was on one of the websites that I go to look at the list for stuff coming out, and they literally had on there in the Marvel area, this book is coming out if it's Penguin publishing it, and this book will be coming out if it's Diamond publishing. And I was just like, God, it's a nightmare for me as a collector, as a store owner. Jesus, I feel for you, my friend. I feel
No,
for
no,
you.
it's been worse. This too shall pass. So yeah, just
Yeah.
getting used to it and being on top of my game. So it's good for my brain. So it's all right.
Well, good. Way to be positive and keep that positive outlook, Dan. So, well, that wraps up another issue of the Comics Corner podcast with B-Lar and Danny P. We are part of the SPDM podcast crew and would like to thank the CLZ app for their sponsorship. Please check out the CLZ app when you get a chance. Please check us out on our social media at Comics Corner Podcast on Facebook and Comics Corner Pod, all one word, on Instagram. And as always, comics is with an X. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Read well, everybody.